Hey guys, for many players, Meepo is considered a super hard hero because he has tons of units and a lot of control. But honestly, it's not as scary as it seems at first glance. Today, I'll share with you how to properly control Meepo, what binds and settings you need, which aspect to pick for him right now, and what about items, neutrals, charms, macro play, counterpicks. Basically, we'll break down how to play Meepo in 2025. This vid will be useful whether you've never played Meepo before or if you've already tried him and want to get a better grasp of the current meta. Honestly, I spent a ton of time making this video, so if you find it helpful, please drop a like and let's get into the guide. So let's start with the settings. If you're already an experienced Meepo player, you can skip this part. First, we need to set up quickcasts so we can instantly cast Poof and Earthbind. To do this, open the settings. I'll reset everything and configure it from scratch with you. Go to the Hero tab, select the Quickcast section, and bind Earthbind to Q and Poof to W. Also, make sure to check the Triggered on Key press box for both abilities. Sometimes Quickcasts might not apply right away. If that happens, just restart the game and everything should work fine. Now, to use the Puff, just press W once instead of twice, and to cast the grid, aim your mouse at the enemy's area and press Q once. That's it for the Puff controls. Moving on to unit controls. For beginners who are just learning Meepo and don't want to be overwhelmed by tons of control groups right away, here's a simple setup. Go into Settings, bind Select Hero to F1, select all your units to 1, and select all other units to 2. Also, make sure you have a key for Next Unit. By default, it's Tab. I also set up control groups for my units. Mine are on 3, 4, 5, and 6. The idea is, press F1 to select your main Meepo, press 1 to select all your units, and press 2 to select all Meepos except the main one. For early game, these basic controls are enough. I'll explain why. When controlling all units, you press 1. To cast a spell, you press 2, which selects all Meepos except the main one. Then, your goal is to quickly press the W plus Tab combo 3 times. That's not as hard as it sounds. Practice it in Turbo or Alpha mode, and after about 10 games, you'll do it automatically. Important: your mouse should be closer to the main hero than to the Meepos. Otherwise, the Meepos will just puff up in place. But there's also a simpler trick, Auto Puff. To activate it, right-click on the Puff ability icon, and it switches the Puff mode to Auto Puff. Basically, with Auto Puff enabled, all Meepos except the selected one will puff toward that selected Meepo. This is super handy once you have 3 Meepos and a blink. You can quickly cast spells. I switch to Auto Puff mode when I get a blink, but before that, I just do it the old-fashioned way. Still, I recommend learning to do it via tabs. It's a must-have skill in many situations. I'll talk more about tabs a bit later. These are the basic setups, but there are also more advanced bindings. For example, assigning each Meepo to a separate button. This can be really helpful so that you can quickly select a specific Meepo using a bind. Say, to pull it out of a fight or to hide it behind a shard and save it that way. Sometimes I also send each Meepo to different camps, usually after the 20-minute mark. I'll mention this more in the macro game section. To bind each Meepo individually, you just select the one you want, hold down Carl, and press the button you want to bind it to. Personally, I've bound my Meepos to keys 3, 4, 5, and 6, but you're free to choose whatever works for you. Now, let's talk about the aspects. The first one, More Meepo, gives us the chance to have 4 clones instead of 3, and each clone appears 1 level earlier, at levels 3, 10, 17, and 24. However, a downside is that these clones only get 85% of the main Meepo's stats. For example, for every 100 agility on the main, each clone only gets 85. This can feel pretty bad because the clones are easier to kill and weaker than the main hero. The main advantage of this aspect is that you get early Meepos at level 3 and 10, which can be crucial. Imagine you're playing against Huskar or Sven, heroes who are tough to handle with just 1 Meepo. Having those early levels can be a lifesaver. Plus, this aspect allows you to gank early and be more active on the map. In my experience, I only pick this aspect against very hard lineups where you need to get into the game quickly. For example, if you're facing Huskar mid, which is hard to beat, but your team has heroes who need early help on the side lanes, like a carry anti-mage or a greedy tri-lane, you might want to run around with a second Meepo to gank and prevent them from snowballing. I'll explain this in more detail later. The second aspect boosts each Meepo with a 5% attack speed buff and +2 armor for every nearby clone. So if you have 3 Meepos close together, each one gets 2 buffs, resulting in a 10% attack speed boost and plus 4 armor. I personally prefer this one much more because it effectively grants each Meepo an extra 40 attack speed at level 18, like a free Daedalus or Butterfly in terms of stats, which is incredibly strong. This aspect makes farming faster, enables quicker kills on Roshan and the enemy courier, and increases your damage output in fights. An added bonus is that with this aspect, each Meepo gets 100% of the main clone stats, unlike the 85% with the more Meepo aspect. So your clones are beefier and hit harder. In summary, if you're facing a tough opponent where you need to space out or defend, go with more Meepo. But if the game allows for normal play, definitely take the attack speed aspect and enjoy the extra power. Now, I'll briefly answer some common questions I get from my videos. Specifically, what role is best for Meepo, and whether he's strong in this patch. The answer is, the best role for Meepo is still mid. This position gives him the perfect environment to snowball, whether that's fast farm in the nearby jungle and lane, or active ganking on the side lanes, where you can kill most enemies within a couple of ganks. Sometimes, if you have a strong support, you can go safe lane, but in this patch, that's less effective in my opinion. As for Meepo's relevance in this patch, he's extremely powerful right now. He can solo take down Roshan as early as the 14th minute, farm quickly, and stay active on the map after getting a second Meepo. With good players, he has an escape via Mega Meepo, a shard that allows him to burrow, and disperser talent that makes him nearly unkillable. We can dish out huge damage thanks to attack speed and pure damage from dispersion. Plus, he can farm swiftly and relentlessly while the main Meepo looks for kills. In short, if you master him, Meepo is a top-tier hero today. Definitely worth learning to climb your MMR. Finally, let's discuss item builds. This is probably the most interesting part after all the recent updates. If you're watching this after March 2025, some things might have changed. Currently, I start with 2 Slipers of Agility, a Circlet, a Quilling Blade, and an Iron Branch. After securing the Bounty Rune, I buy Tangos, especially if facing tough opponents like Huskar, Sven, or Viper. Then I pick up Power Treads, starting with a +6 agility item. While Slippers and Circlets are mainly for stats, upgrading to Wraithband is costly and often not worth it, since attack speed and armor benefits mainly go to the main Meepo. The first major item I buy after Power Treads is Diffusal Blade, my core item on Meepo in recent patches because I plan to upgrade it to Disperser later. It provides active kill potential and good stats. If I'm snowballing and dominating the map, like 10-0, I might go straight for a Blink Dagger. If I lost mid and face counters, I buy Aghanim's Scepter right after Diffusal to help survive teamfights by transforming into a big unit that can impact fights even against counters. Next, we always take Disperser to get 40 agility and the active ability that helps remove negative effects from ourselves. For example, it's often necessary to remove silence from the main Meepo so that we can cast Mega Meepo. The Disperser always triggers on the main Meepo, so it's best to press it either on an enemy or on one of the Meepos so that they also receive the buff from the Disperser. After that, I found the coolest item for Meepo in this patch, the Abyssal Blade. Currently, it's built from Sangs, which gives us a total of 26 strength. That's 520 horsepower per Meepo, which is even more than Scotty's horsepower boost. Plus, it provides an active ability that can be cast through BKB, unlike Hex. The best part is, because of our high attack speed, we're very likely to stun enemies, giving us a reliable disable. Honestly, it feels like this item is too good not to buy. I think it's an ideal replacement for Hex. After Abyssal, I usually pick up a Swift Blink. With the attack speed talent, each Meepo becomes a killing machine. This item grants each Meepo 60 agility, plus increased attack speed. It's just awesome. As for Scotty, I only buy it against heroes like Golems, Huskar, or Morphling, characters that heal themselves and where Scotty effectively reduces their health regen. Overall, if you feel you need more durability, I'd say that Abyssal already makes us quite tanky. Regarding Hex, I've rarely purchased it in this patch, maybe only late game, like in the Hazy phase. You could also consider a Butterfly late game, which makes Mega Meepo incredibly powerful and nearly untouchable. As for skill builds, at level 1 I almost always pick the passive. With it, you can early harass enemies with pure damage and generally make it easier to last hit creeps. At level 2, I usually take Puff, but if we're playing Ember or Magnus and focusing on early Meepo, it's worth taking the net to try to kill a hero at level 3. Sometimes it works, but that's for more advanced players who can recognize the right moment. If you're a beginner, don't risk it. Just max Poof first. By level 7, we need to max Puff to 4 points. In non-aggressive games, I usually take the net at level 8 just in case we can kill an enemy mid. I only put 2 points into the passive and then max the net. Because the passive scales very poorly, it only adds +3 damage per level, while the net's range increases as we improve it. It's hard to kill anyone with just 1 net, so it's better to max it as soon as possible. At level 10, I always pick the talent for damage from Puff, since it significantly boosts our damage output, especially when we're in Mega Meepo mode, where each Meepo's Puff damage stacks. At level 15, I always pick Evasion. It's great for survivability against physical damage carries, and it works for each Meepo. At level 20, if you're facing heroes with missed chances, like Phantom Lancer, Windrunner, or heroes who buy Radiance, like Alchemist, I recommend taking the right talent that gives you True Strike when the enemy is in a net. The left talent is rarely taken because enemies usually have missed chances, but in theory, it greatly increases passive damage. At level 25, I usually pick HP, although the second talent is also good, but it can be risky with a dagger. Personally, I'm used to casting Puff in 1.5 seconds, not sure why. Now, about gameplay. Early on, you come to the lane with the passive. If you're laning against a weak, thin mid like Pugna or Ember, you can harass him while also last-hitting all creeps to quickly farm the second Meepo. Against tough lanes like Huskar or Snapfire, try to constantly draw creeps onto yourself so the lane stays active and it's harder for the enemy to zone you from the creeps. Once you have your second Meepo, your strategy is to quickly kill the lane creeps with 2 puff casts, then either go to kill the nearest jungle camp, stack, or contest runes, depending on the game situation. Also, against mid heroes with bottles, always send each Meepo to a different rune spot about 10 seconds before runes spawn to grab water runes immediately and prevent the enemy from refilling their bottle. This is crucial because it keeps the enemy without resources. If you see an opportunity to kill a hero on the side lanes, especially if they're not tanky and don't have many escape options, you can send a clone there while the main Meepo keeps farming mid. To fully understand the gameplay, you need to play for a long time or watch experienced Meepo players. On Boosty, I detail how to win at high MMR. Just a heads up, no specific promotion. Early kills give a significant gold boost. I've had games where I bought a Diffusal Blade by the 7th minute thanks to early ganks. Our current goal is to farm Diffusal and get the 3rd Meepo, because with 3 Meepos, you have a strong potential for fights. With 3 nets, almost no hero can escape unless they get saved by supports. Once you have the 3rd Meepo, the tactic is to send clones to farm the jungle with attack plus shift key, so they attack camps automatically without your control, while the main Meepo roams the lanes looking for kills. When you find a kill, cast net on the enemy, puff with clones on the main hero, and secure the kill. After successful fights, always aim to take towers and control enemy territory. Speed is key with Meepo. After 30 minutes, our hero starts to lose strength, so farming endlessly isn't an option. Currently, at the 15-minute mark, there's a Tormentor spawning bot, and Meepo with just 3 units can easily take down the Terror Blade, which I always recommend. Just spam Puff on cooldown, and it melts easily. In team fights, try not to be the first to engage. Wait for enemies to use abilities on your allies. Positioning is crucial for Meepo. If you jump in poorly, you risk losing the fight. Early on, focus on disabling fragile supports or key enemy heroes like Vengeful Spirit, Shaker, or Weaver, so they can't cast spells on you. If one of your Meepos is low on health, activate Mega Meepo and save yourself. To retreat from a fight, press the stop button, then immediately use Dagger. The stop lasts exactly 3 seconds, same as Dagger's cooldown. After winning fights, aim to break all outer towers and go for Roshan. Take the Aegis and then push the enemy's Ancient. This is especially satisfying with Meepo. Finally, a word on counters. Meepo is countered by Wyvern, who ults and then causes Meepo to kill himself, and by Shaker, who has lots of stuns and Echo Slam that can blow you up. For these heroes, I recommend the following approach. Keep the main Meepo away from the others, and when your clones start getting focused, transform into Mega Meepo. This way, you'll save all your clones. Right now, Drow is particularly annoying. Her ward focuses one of the MIP arrays very strongly. If we're also under Maledict and wearing helmets, we risk dying unless we hide or use Mega Meepo. The tactic against her is to try to jump on her first during a fight and kill her with Abyssal. At the very least, always keep spells ready for a save, like Mega Meepo. I also suggest taking a Blink and Abyssal Blade against these heroes and focusing them first in team fights. One of the most troublesome heroes for us is Tinker. He casts a laser that hits all clones and blinds them, and he's hard to catch. For Tinker, I recommend leveling up the talent at 20 that gives a true strike on enemies affected by his net. Also, play as aggressively as possible against Tinker. Try to focus him down first and prevent him from farming. So guys, those are the main points to get started playing Meepo. If you found this video helpful, feel free to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Good luck to everyone!